There are so many yarn crafts out there and they're all fun and interesting. Some of the most common questions we get is, what is the difference between knitting and crochet? Is one easier to learn than the other? We love digging into the similarities and differences of these two super popular crafts. Hi, I'm Hannah from knitting.com, and today we'll explore knitting and crochet together. We'll look at the kinds of fabrics each craft makes, the tools they use, and talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of both. The short answer is they're both fantastic, and every crafter should learn both if they can. You can even make some pretty neat projects using both knitting and crochet at the same time. Stay tuned to learn more. Let's take a quick look at the fabrics that crochet and knit make. So when you're crocheting, you are using a hook to pull a single loop through at any given time, and it creates a double thick fabric that's pretty sturdy. It's a little stiffer and, as I said, like double thick. So it's a very cozy, sturdy stitch for almost every crochet stitch that you're making with a hook. With knitting needles, you're working loops one at a time on 2 needles, and it makes a much thinner fabric that drapes a little differently. So it's much more flexible. You can do a lot of other stitch patterns by manipulating how the stitches lay and how they pass over each other. With crochet, you're building upward for a pretty tall row. This is a single crochet. This is just basic knitting. So these are the most basic stitches in both crafts. And you can see there's a little bit of a difference in the fabric. So like, look how thick and sturdy this one is and how much this fabric will drape and lay. And that's a good example of why crochet garments tend to be pretty open and a little bit less comfortable. And knit garments tend to lie a little flatter and be a little comfier to wear. However, while you're working, knitting, you've got all your stitches in your hands all the time. And with crochet, you only have a single loop that you're working with. So crochet can be a little bit easier to work when it's hot out because you're not having to hold as much fabric in your hands, versus knitting, you're holding it all the time, which makes it a perfect craft for cold weather knitting. And that is a really pretty basic overview of the difference between a crochet fabric and knit fabric. I've got a range of different tools that knitting and crochet uses. For crochet, you'll notice that they're all hooks. They all look pretty much the same. There's some little differences, but with knitting, you've got a variety of different knitting needles for different types of projects. I'm going to talk through all of these today to give a brief overview, the basic tools for knitting and crochet.